Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's guest talk titled The Garden of Gratitude. We have Ms. Richa Sharma as the speaker today. She is a counseling psychologist and a musician with a decade-long experience in the fields of mental wellness, parenting, education, and meditation. She holds postgraduate degrees in applied psychology and English literature and a certification in music therapy. Welcome, Richa. It's lovely to have you again. Look forward to a beautiful session with you. Over to you.
Thank you, Arinima. That was a warm welcome once again. It's a privilege to be here and to share another talk on one of my most favorite topics. The topic today I have chosen is gratitude. And no matter what faith you belong to, no matter what culture you come from, gratitude is something that you will have learned for sure. You must have heard this word from your parents, from your teachers, from your mentors or seniors, or even if you follow self-help podcasts or spiritual masters, you must have heard that being grateful for what we have is an excellent practice in the path of our spiritual growth, or even as a professional, as a person. Okay, so I have some nice techniques and rituals that I'd like to share. Before that, I just want to ask this question to each one of you. Just take a moment and reflect on this. If you knew that there was a way through which you could feel more positive emotions, okay, if there was a way through which you could relish your good experiences, if there was a way you knew that could help you improve your overall health and your feeling of well-being, your perception of well-being, if you knew that there was a way that could help you deal with adversities that come in your life and enable you to build and nurture and foster stronger relationships, would you not practice it? Would you practice it or not? You would for sure, right? I think the answer to all the attendees here, all the joinees here is yes, right? So all of us would be I mean, if we know that there is a technique that we can try, or there's a practice that we can do that has so many benefits, we would be practicing it for sure. And yet at times, um, we often take things for granted, and the very things that we should be grateful for are the things that we most often take for granted. The daily blessings, the gifts that we have around in your life. In fact, I would like to take this moment to remind all of us that if we woke up this morning and we knew that this evening we have a session and all of us came together to hear, this session here right now, we are breathing, we are alive today, we got to see the sun. It was raining here in the part of the country where I am right now. So you woke up this morning and you're here right now. I think that is the greatest reason to be grateful. Right. And every morning we get to do this. So every day we have at least one thing to be grateful for. And we might, when we start sitting to work on it, we might find lots of reasons to be grateful for. Right. So gratitude is, it's very rightly said that gratitude is not just a virtue or not just a positive quality, but it is actually the parent or the mother of all the other positive virtues. When you practice gratitude, then other positive emotions or virtues like hope and faith and resilience and sacrifice, altruism, help, love, warmth, all of these start following. But gratitude is the root of them all. Okay, so I invite you to take another moment and think of the things that you are grateful for. And I'm sure that all of you will resonate here with me with at least with the aspects that I've added, and you will have more than this. So, and these are often the things that we take for granted. And the first one is, of course, a roof over our head to cover us under sun or rain. Good health that enables us to, move and walk and go wherever we want to go every day. Good sleep that makes us feel nourished and we wake up the next morning on a brighter note. We have food to eat to fill our bellies, okay, to support our health. We have fresh, clean water to drink. We have access to clothes that cover our body. They might not be branded clothes, they might not be very fancy clothes, but we do have decent clothing that that cover us and protect us from weather, and also make us feel beautiful at the same time. We have love from family and friends, and I feel this, like, once the basic necessity of roti, kapda, makan, chat, and the clothing and the food is met, even according to Abraham Maslow, the next most beautiful thing that we really seek is love from family and friends. And our immediate family are the people that we most take for granted. We'd argue with them, we have complaints from them, we'll fight with them. And if we take a pause and really sit and reflect, these are the people that allow us to be our own selves, that we do not have to pretend being something else in front of these people, that they know us, um, and they resonate with us, our feelings. They feel sad when we are sad, right? So they are a blessing, they are a gift. We'll talk more about these as we move ahead. And of course, good education. If all those of us out here, I'm definitely certain all of us out here are people who have been blessed with good education bestowed by our parents or by our own yearning for knowledge. And I think these are all reasons to be grateful for. So you can take a moment and really close your eyes and thank God for all of these blessings that you have. I think these are at least 8 of them, right? So how do we nurture our garden of gratitude? The topic today is the garden of gratitude. It's a metaphor. I like using flowery language, but I also feel that when we sow the seeds of thankfulness every day, and when we strengthen the roots of gratitude, how? By adding the manure, water, and sunlight of consistency of daily practice. Taking any one practice that allow us to feel grateful, and uproot the weeds of complaints. Not grumbling, not we have a tendency, our tongue has a tendency to go to the tooth which has been broken. So similarly, we have a tendency to go to directions where there is a hollow, where there's a missing element, okay. But trying to I mean, it's not possible to overlook that completely, but also trying to look at the perspective that, okay, I might not have this at the moment, but I have so many more things than this. So uprooting the weeds of complaints. Complaining does not allow you to have that in any case. And then you reap the flowers of joy, blessing, good health, fulfilling relationships. These are all offshoots of the roots of gratitude. Okay. Now, let us understand gratitude from various perspectives, from the perspective of positive psychology, spirituality, etc. So, what does gratitude mean? Its origin is the Latin word gratus, which means being thankful or pleasing. Okay, being pleased by receiving something, by being a beneficiary of something, feeling thankful for the good things in our life. Okay, and I have actually discovered, like I've felt by talking to various people, even in my therapeutic settings, that all of us have certain common things that make us feel good. Okay, and those common things would be a fulfilling family, good relationships with our parents, a circle of friends that understand us. If we are in a relationship, then a nice growing relationship, love and affection from children if it's a parent talking to me. So human relationships, social connections are come very strongly to people. Also accomplishments, the ability to pursue our passion, the ability to shine our best, at the work that we are doing, to be able to be of service. So whatever it is that we aspire to achieve or do, feeling thankful for those accomplishments. Okay, that implies being grateful, reflecting on how lucky or blessed we are when something good happens to us, no matter how big or small. I say this often that it's not possible for each one of us to probably receive a Golden Globe Award or any of those coveted awards. It's not really easy, but it's definitely possible for us to sit next to a child and listen to their chatters or laughter. It's definitely possible for us to read a bedtime story to a child or to enjoy a cup of tea with a loved one, a sibling, or a friend. These are small little joys. To be able to enjoy the rain, to be able to get the daily chores done with a sense of accomplishment. These are small accomplishments, but they make us feel okay. I had a good job done today, right? So gratitude also implies appreciating other people, appreciating the possessions that we have, appreciating this present moment. Okay, appreciating certain rituals or practices that we might encounter in our family, in our home, in culture, or elsewhere. Also, feelings of awe. I am sure you might have felt a certain sense of awe and wonder when you probably looked at a flower blooming, or when you looked at a butterfly, or you heard a bird, or you saw, or you held a new baby in your arms. That's a rush of emotion that we cannot describe. So those are the kind of emotions, if you feel, you really feel wonder at a higher power, and you really feel very grateful at how incredible and how beautiful life is, and your problems appear very small to you at that moment, right? So gratitude is a universal sentiment that almost all religions, I think not almost, all the religions aim at invoking or evoking in whatever ways they can, whether that's Judaism or Christianity or Islam, whenever you listen to terms like Alhamdulillah, Mashallah. So there are different ways in every faith and tradition to be thankful or grateful to, and to express that feeling towards a higher power. Okay. And worship with gratitude to a higher power is a common theme, and being thankful to that higher source. And it's constantly taught to us in religious texts and religious teachings. Gratitude is not just popular in religion or spirituality, but also among contemporary researchers of positive psychology. Gratitude is receiving so much of attention among um, positive psychologists. If you'd like to explore more on this area, please read researches by Dr. Martin Seligman and Emmons and all, and they have done tremendous work in this field. Although gratitude is not an area which has been started by positive psychology. I mean, the research is very new, but this concept is as old as human life, or life in itself could be imagined. Okay. And gratitude can be nurtured by consistent practice. So it's kind of a muscle that you can flex by daily practicing. Okay, so if you have a practice, say during bedtime, or if you have a certain habit and you keep doing it every day, so during that moment, you can definitely invoke gratitude within yourself. And this is what we are going to talk about and learn today. So, what are the various benefits of practicing gratitude? I shared a few benefits already earlier, but let's elaborate a bit more on these. So, gratitude enhances positive emotions. Some of them are happiness, satisfaction, higher self-esteem, subjective well-being. Well-being means how I feel about myself. मेरी व्यक्तिगत धारणा, मेरे अपने feelings के बारे में. Okay, improves physical health in terms of people who are more grateful tend to have better sleep. They tend to acknowledge that their body is a temple and they need to nurture it, and they try to make time for exercises. They try to eat healthier. Okay, gratitude also boosts our ability to learn better. These are backed by researchers, these benefits. Okay, gratitude also enhances our positive coping strategies, like accepting our own selves, acknowledging our limitations, being more resilient during adversity, working towards our personal growth, having greater control on our environment and not feeling like a victim, and having a sense of purpose in our life. Okay, so you might have found that there are people who lost something very precious in their life, and it's been very difficult for them to practice gratitude, and yet you find that they turn that loss into being an advocate for that cause, and they try to help and offer support to other people who are in need in that particular area. So cancer survivors, for instance, drug addicts who have come, who went through rehabilitation and now they want to support other inhabitants going through that same addiction. Gratitude improves relationships and reduces, needless to say, it reduces symptoms of negative emotions like depression. If you have helped someone, right? If you have helped someone, you have sowed the seeds in them to help, be of help to another person. So, gratitude also enhances altruism and future pro social behavior in other people. Here, I'd like to share a small personal experience. Few years back, when I was working in a university, my colleagues and I, we were traveling on a highway, and we met a deadly road accident, and it could have been really worse. So we fell on the road, and I mean, we had some injuries, but suddenly some unknown people came, some strangers who were there on the road. They came, they ran, and they lifted us up and put us in their cars, and they took us to the nearest hospital. And that was a very timely support, and they did not take anything from us in return. So like their only intent was for us to receive the first aid, or immediate care as soon as possible. So now I have been a beneficiary of that support through a stranger, and now I know that if there is a stranger in need on the road, I know how I felt at that time when somebody had supported me, and I would be more likely to extend my support or help at that time in whatever way possible. I might not be able to reciprocate in exactly the same way, but definitely in some way. And we can find lots of examples like that, right? Not just road accidents, but many other examples. You might have had a senior at school um, who helped you combat bullying from your classmates or from your seniors. And now you know that how it felt when you were empowered by someone who backed you. Now you would like to, probably you would try to support your junior who is being bullied at that time. So being thankful to that person, you could say thank you to that person, but you're also expressing your gratitude to that person by passing it on to another human being, right? That reciprocity can create ripple effects of goodness around yourself. Okay. So gratitude enhances your ability to see good things around yourself. For example, you actually start seeing the larger picture of something. So immediately something might not look right, but if you tend to practice gratitude on a regular basis, you might feel that in the longer run things will eventually fall into place. Perhaps when you look at yourself right now, and when you look at yourself 5 years from now, like 5 years back, where had you been in your life, at what place and position you were, and when you realize how far you've come, you already have some of the things that you were praying for. That gives you a sense of perspective. Okay, so eventually things do turn to be well. Okay, and it also reduces negative coping strategies like blaming yourself, seeking revenge, getting into addictions, feeling envious, or harboring resentment against other people. So the greatest benefit of gratitude that I feel is gratitude turns whatever we have right now into enough. मेरे पास जो है वो बहुत है, मुझे जो मिला है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है. That's an amazing grace given to me, right? Okay. We'll talk more about this. I have something very beautiful with respect to this. But you will find a lot of people around yourself, and you might also find yourself not feeling grateful all the time, and that's perfectly fine. But you might encounter people that you had done good to, and they were not as grateful to you, right? That also can happen, which is fine. Like it's the way they are, and you do not have to be sad about it. But let's just try to understand what is it that makes some of us feel ungrateful. Okay, what is it? So there are a few reasons, and they're all very, very connected. Okay, the first one is a sense of entitlement. So if somebody feels that I am entitled, I have walked into this planet like a king or a queen, and the world owes me everything, and anything that I'm getting, अरे ये तो मुझे मिलना ही चाहिए, means I am born to savor all of these and everybody is born to serve me. That kind of attitude is called entitlement. And when somebody really feels entitled, they do not feel grateful for the small little blessings that they have in their life. Okay, some of us might not express our gratitude to some favor also because of fear of appearing weak. If I say thank you, I might appear inferior to this person, and they might look superior. Some of us might be jealous of other people's accomplishments, and that's why if even if they helped us, we do not want to say thanks. Okay. Some people have a tendency to find fault in everything, so no matter how good you do, the gratitude is a very far away emotion to come. Some people also feel a strong victim mentality. So all the bad things happen to me. So when you actually start believing like a victim, then you tend to overlook even if there is a good thing happening around yourself. Okay, I'm not trying to use this to belittle anyone, but I did have an experience with respect to this. There was a certain neighbor where I stayed during my younger days with my parents. And we did have this tendency to greet our elderly, namaste, how are you, how are things, and all. And then this certain person would, the moment you would ask, how are you? This person would say, no, I'm not fine. Nothing is good. Everything is wrong with me. I have this problem, I have that problem. Like, and this would happen every single day. And we'd feel sad and bad about this person for feeling this way. But when we looked at it, they did have a lot of things that that a lot of people did not have, right? But then there is this tendency of not looking at the things that we have. Okay, and this does result to health issues and lots of other problems. And I felt that this was not a great attitude to harbor if somebody's asking about your well-being. um I mean, if there's a genuine problem and you want to seek support, that's perfectly fine. But if it can suddenly become a habit. If you tend to complain about something, you can start complaining about every single thing. You get food and then you feel, oh my god, this chapati is so bad, it's burned. This dal, the salt is so high in this dal. This is watery. This is that, and you can tend to behave like this every day if you start looking at the fault in everything. We also have a tendency to take things for granted. Especially, I think we tend to take mother's love for granted or partner's love for granted at times. And these are the most precious or beautiful blessings or feelings that we have. Also, there's this term called egocentrism in psychology, developmental psychology, which means only thinking of one's own perspective and not not having the ability to feel from or to understand from the perspective of another person. So people who have egocentrism way into their adulthood, they might feel more ungrateful than grateful. Irrational beliefs like, I deserve this, I have to have this, everybody owes me this. Of a sense of narcissism. You might have known that Narcissus was a figure that fell in love with his own reflection, and that leads to arrogance and vanity and just being self-obsessed and a need for admiration and approval, and you do not want to admire or approve or appreciate other people for anything that they do. Okay, so these are certain reasons I felt that prevent us from feeling grateful. Okay, now let's come to the good part of this session. Let's come to certain very beautiful, nice practices here that you can learn, and please take in and try to practice any of this that resonates with you. You can take a pen, paper, and you can start taking notes if you'd feel like, or you can jot down any practice that really resonates with you. So there are lots of techniques that I'm going to share that you can use to express your gratitude to other people, to yourself, to God, to nature, to life in general. Okay, so let's get started. So the first one is comprising of gratitude rituals that you can imbibe in your family, in your home, with your partner, with your children, with the family unit that you're living with. And the first one I felt is a cooking ritual, which I also personally do. I learned it from my mother and the women in my home, the ancestors. And this is early in the morning, the first meal that you cook. So there is a certain, like, especially rotis, in ancient villages, women would start making rotis early in the morning. So the first chapati would be kept for a cow or for an animal or for God, like, in that name. And there would be a certain offering to the fire, and there would be small prayer, by closing eyes and being grateful to God for this food that we are going to eat today. And I try to practice this every day, every morning when I start making my meal. So this is one very small and basic practice that, but we eat every day, right? So a small cooking ritual or an eating ritual, a prayer before eating our food, can be a very beautiful way. Before each meal, thanking God for the food, or there are shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita to do that. Thanking the farmers who brought this produce on your plate, thanking the people who cooked this beautiful meal for you. Also, you might have in your family certain daily or seasonal rituals, you know mm, going through, or certain festivals that associate some practices that might remind you to be grateful for life's blessings, like for example, Raksha Bandhan just passed by, and it reminds you of the beauty of the bonding between a sibling, a brother and a sister, like that. So there could be lots of such festivals where you could take an opportunity to be more grateful towards the things that you have. I believe that charity, volunteering, donations without expecting something in return is an excellent way to express your gratitude. Almost every religion has in some way encouraged, charity, the concept of zakat, or giving dan punya and all of that. These are all practices that encourage you to share a certain percentage of what you have with those who do not have. Okay. Volunteering your skills to someone in your community, on being of help or support, by offering something that you're very good at and not doing it for a monetary return or some other kind of reward. Also, I think giving away what you do not need, like decluttering, it clears your home from a lot of excess stuff, and giving it to someone who needs it more than you. Appreciating all the things that you have in your home, in your life, in your relationships. Spending more time in nature by gardening, walking, feeding birds, watching the sunrise, offering water to the sunrise. All of these things can be excellent ways to offer your gratitude. And I think this is a very powerful one, saying a gratitude prayer before bedtime. And there's no one fixed template to do this. You can personalize it and you can express your gratitude in whatever way that works for you. So I have small children of my daughter's age coming to our place every now and then. They are her friends. And one of the little boys one day told me, I do gratitude every night before sleeping. And I was really amazed. And it's a 6-year-old kid. And I asked, like, how do you do it? Then, he stood up and he started teaching his friends. He said, I close my eyes, I fold my hands, and I say, thank you, God. I had a very good day. I had a beautiful day. I'm very grateful. May tomorrow also be as good as today. And this is my gratitude. So this is something so sweet and small. It's a child's prayer. But I think this also works very beautifully, right? So these are some practices that we can do in our home as a family unit. Now there is gratitude in our relationships. This is a very powerful one, being grateful for our ancestors. Okay. A lot of times we do tend to look at the things that our ancestors have done wrongly, right? And say, they have created such toxic patterns, this did not work for us, that did not work for us. But being more grateful to them is is very important. I realized that we are here right now, we are here today because of them, and they tried to live life in the way that they could live best, right? So also remembering the influence of a person in your life. If you had been a student and you had a teacher that really saved you at that time, or really taught you something very valuable, if you haven't yet, I really encourage you to please express to them how much their lesson had meant to you. I remember a story here in this context, and that is, um, once there were two friends who met at a party reunion, and they started talking about how this teacher had helped her, this one friend, through her English lessons, poetry, etc. And then the other friend asked her, did you ever say thank you to this teacher? Did you ever express your gratitude to her? And she said, no, I never did that. And then this friend said, why don't you actually write a letter to this teacher? Why don't you tell this to her? Just one second, huh? Just one second. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, so she actually wrote a letter to this teacher, and few days later, she received a reply from this teacher, and that said, dear XYZ, um, I want to tell you that in all these years, I have been teaching for 40 years, and now I recline here, I sit here in my small little home, all by myself, all alone. And it's a cold, wintry evening, and yours is the only letter of acknowledgement or appreciation for anything that I've done in all these years. And it fills my wintry evening with so much of warmth. Okay. So probably your expression of gratitude could be the only good thing in another person's life ever. Okay. So it is so important for us to express something good that other people have done, because they might have never heard it elsewhere. So I'm not saying to overdo that, but I'm saying to be realistic. If there's something somebody has done really good for you, make it a point to acknowledge. I strongly make it a point to appreciate the good things that other people have done. And if there's something that I have a complaint about or something that has not worked, I would rather talk to them in person and not in public. And we do tend to do the opposite. We do not appreciate people for the good things that they've done in public, and we try to complain or we try to say bad things about them in public. I think we should switch, we should switch the direction in which we are doing this. Writing a mail or letter to someone, again, and really the best, I have seen its effect. It's really best when you write that letter, and if you're able to call that person and say, I have something really important. I want just 5 minutes of your time. Can I come and meet you one day? And if they have your time, if they are, this is when they are living in your own city. If not, then a phone call is fine. And go visit that person and actually open that letter and read it out to them and see how they feel when you read it to them. That can really fill that person with so much of joy and wonder. Okay. Also, think about a time when someone helped you in a crisis. Like, I do remember getting that support during accident, some strangers helping us. I think they did not need to do that to us. They really went out of their way. But it was amazing. I had a small child who was living with my mother, and if I was not alive, I really wonder what would have happened to that child. But we are so grateful that there are people who go out of their way to help us whenever we are in need. Think about a time when somebody listened to you when you were feeling very low and you needed an outlet to express yourself, and you felt heard by this person. They offered you a shoulder to cry on, and acknowledge them for doing that. Call them or send an audio message. I feel you sharing your affection or gratitude through your voice is a very warm way of expressing your affection to that person instead of text. I think text does not carry that intensity or warmth than your voice or your presence, right? Also, I wanted to add this, particularly acknowledge a relationship that did not work for you. We often, what we do is, we start complaining and we start cursing ourselves. Why did I choose this relationship? Why did this not work for me? Why do I have to be the person who has to experience all the bad things? But taking that as an opportunity to understand that, okay, I got to learn that this does not suit me, this does not work for me. right? This relationship taught me that, this is not how I want to lead my life. So that option is gone, right? So be grateful. You learned so much of lessons through something that did not work for you, a relationship, a job. It could be anything. Okay. So this was gratitude in relationships with people. Also, we can develop an attitude of gratitude within us on a very regular basis. And how can we do that? There are certain techniques. And the first one is the good things exercise. It is a scientifically researched technique developed by Dr. Martin Seligman. And I tried doing this with my students when I was teaching in the university. And I asked them to make a small scrapbook, and starting today for the next 30 days, write down three good things that happen to you every single day. And it's very likely that not every day will be the same. You won't have good days every single day. But on that day, your good thing might be just able to complete your assignment on time, or just able to drink a cup of tea or coffee that day. That could be your good. So what there will be definitely at least one good thing in your day, no matter how bad your day is. Okay. I mean, it's difficult to believe that way when everything is not going in our favor. But um but having our sanity intact, having our life intact, being able to live, having our people around us that we love, I think these are things that we can be grateful for that day. And otherwise also, there can be three things that we can be grateful for every single day. So these students did this for 30 days, and they loved doing this, and they were so creative. They made it so colorful, and they started making drawings and doodles around it, etc. And at the end of the 30 days, they really felt very amazed and happy. And I said, whenever you have your bad days, go back and look at this scrapbook, and it will remind you that you had something wonderful on all of these days. Okay. Another perspective that I learned recently was taking your rejections as redirections. A job that you applied for and you did not get, and you feel you are being rejected from all options that you're applying at. Okay. Or relationships not working, or anything that wanted to apply for higher education, and you're not getting that opportunity. So I learned that we can take that rejection as being redirected to something that's more in sync with us, or in our direction. Okay. So whenever you feel rejected by something, do not get disheartened that, oh my God, I did not get this. Just say, okay, probably something better is about to happen. Let me not be sad or disheartened about this. This is again another of my favorite, and that is rephrasing have to get to. So sometimes, it's very easy for us to say, oh my God, I have to do this. Oh my God, I have to pick my child from school. I am so overwhelmed. I have so much to do in the day. Right. And then simply the have to being replaced to get to would mean, oh my God, I get to pick my child from school. I have the privilege to pick my child from school. I get to cook lunch for my baby, or I get to manage my household, or anything. I'm talking about home and parenting and children, but you can rephrase it in your work domain, or whatever domain you would like to practice this at. Also, practicing humility. When we cultivate the practice of being more humble in our everyday life, we tend to become very grateful. So, not being entitled of any talent that we have, somebody can dance very well, or somebody can sing very well, or someone can is a good orator or something. And these are all gifts, actually. Everything in life is a gift. Okay. So when we look at our talents or anything that we have as a gift, we really feel very grateful or blessed about that. We don't feel entitled to that. A good relationship with our parents, um, a naughty, chirpy child in our home is a gift. These days will go away very soon. So looking at everything in life that happens to us as a gift. And also, like I said earlier, look how far you've come. So every time you feel a little sad or upset, look at yourself to at least 1 year back at the same time, or 2 years back, or 5 years back, or probably 10 years back. No matter where you are right now, you have at least those many years of experiences. You know a lot more than what you did at that time. So remind yourself of, look how far I've come from then, that time. Okay. So yes, this is a very, very beautiful favorite of mine. And this is a small gratitude prayer I had read few years back. And it said, thank you, God, for all that I have to do today. For the sink of dirty dishes, it shows that we have plenty of food to eat. Okay. For this pile of dirty laundry, it shows that we have a lot of clothes to wear. For those unmade beds in the room, it shows that they were warm and comfortable, and those beds made me have a deep sleep last night. Thank you, God, for the stove that I have to clean. It has fed us and our family for so many years. And for those scattered toys in our home, it shows us that we have healthy children that love playing and trotting all around the house, right? Here are some reflections. I'm not talking about that. If you'd like to take a screenshot of this, there's just some questions thinking about what are your special gifts and talents. You can make a list of 20 things that you're grateful for. You can reflect on, if you had to wake up tomorrow and you only had the things that you are grateful for, what would be the things that you would be grateful for? What would be the things that you would want around yourself? Okay. So these are some prompts that you can try. Here are some ideas to practice gratitude for children. And these are really creative ones. You can make crafts like flowers or trees, making petals, or draw a small garden, and then ask them to write down the things that they are grateful for in each petal, right? um, you can ask children to, I do this a lot with my daughter. You can ask them to make a card for someone in the family and just say, thank you so much for this, I really loved this, welcome home. And children are very good at this. So these can be some activities that you can encourage, because it's very easy to teach gratitude to children. It comes naturally to them. This is another very beautiful exercise that I felt works very well for children, and that is the ABC of gratitude. So ask them to make a list of things from A to Z of all the things that they are grateful for. So I'm grateful to eat an apple today, or a banana. And starting from every letter, they can. I listed a few examples over here. Okay. And the last one here is a gratitude visit at bedtime. Like that kid said, I do gratitude in the night. So if you're an adult, you can write your gratitude in the journal. A physical journal or a notebook really works best. But if you are a digital person, screen person, you can enter that in your digital application that you'd like. You can also sit with your child or your partner, hold their hands, and talk about the good things that you felt that day, the things that you really appreciate about them, or things in general that happened really well with you. You can ask your children to tell you what were the good things in school that they really enjoyed. And that sets in them a very positive attitude and a very nice, feeling inside them as they go to bed. Right? And towards the end, there's this beautiful quotation from Lord Buddha, Gautam Buddha, and that is, let us rise up and be thankful. For if we did not learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we did not learn a little, at least we did not get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. And I'm thankful to all of you for listening to me and being here in this wonderful talk. I wrap it up and hand it over to Arunima. Thank you.
Thank you, Richa. That was beautiful as always. And we are really grateful to have attended your session today. Participants, if anyone has a question or anyone wants to share something, please go ahead. You can use the chat box or you can raise the hand, unmute yourself. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
It's always very pleasant to hear the speech from Richa, madam. And today also was no exception. It was beautiful talking about this wonderful virtue of gratitude, about which the mother has said so much and written so much about it. And I would have loved to hear a little bit of that from her mouth also. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if anyone else wants to share something, please go ahead. Dr. Bijlani, I request you to share your thoughts, please.
That was as usual, as Rishikesh said, a very comprehensive talk with a professional approach, very analytic, giving so many points for practical application. And as expected, the emphasis was most of the time on gratitude for things that we have, but there were also elements of gratitude for things that we don't have or things which we may not like. I like that poem, like the one being grateful for the dishes in the sink, because at least that tells us we have plenty to eat, and those piles of laundry to be done tells us we have clothes to wear, and so on and so forth. So that was really good. These days, I'm reading a novel, Pollyanna, and Pollyanna is a girl, a little girl who has been orphaned, and then through some arrangement, she's sent to an aunt, and she has high expectations. The aunt is very rich, and she thinks she's go and live in great comfort and get a lot of love from this aunt. But actually, it doesn't happen that way. The aunt is rich, but then she doesn't treat her very well, and she gives her a very bare sort of a room with no pictures and no screens on the windows and no carpet on the floor in the attic. And it talks just as little as is necessary, doesn't reciprocate uh, to her hugs and uh, everything. So it was totally unexpected behavior. But then this girl always comes up with a comment, which expresses that still how happy she is. And she said this is sort of a game that she learned from her father. And the way she generally does it is by saying something why it is good, because instead of it, it could have been like this and that would have been much worse, and so on. Now, this girl not only does it herself, she encourages others also to do it and brings a lot of cheer to other people. And in one of the episodes, she ends up visiting several times a grumpy woman whom his aunt sends occasionally some food to eat. Now, this woman is grumpy, but at the same time, when we expect her to be grumpy because she's on bed all the time because of some physical ailment, she's lying down all the time. So that can make a person grumpy. And even when a good gesture is made, like this Pollyanna's aunt sending her some food or something, uh, she always complains about what is not. So if she sent chicken, she wants lamb broth, and if she sent lamb broth, then she wants something else. So whatever this girl brings, she actually didn't want that, she wanted something else. Now this girl tries to teach this type of a game to her also. And then, initially this woman on the bed is very uncommunicative and irritable, and nobody likes her really. But the approach of this girl starts changing her a bit. And then he tells her, how can you feel good about being in the bed all the time? So Paulina says, well, that's a difficult one, but I'll think about it. And then, when her next visit, she tells her, last time you gave me a question, how can one feel good about being in the bed all the time? And I thought through it, I have an answer. And can you imagine what answer this little girl gives? She says, you can feel good that so many others don't have to keep lying down like this in bed. So feel happy for the others who don't are not in a state like yours. What a remarkable spiritual insight which has been put into the mouth of a little girl by the author. And uh, it's not surprising because this type of insights actually only children sometimes have, because they have such a pure soul and they are so open to the higher power. So this is something I thought I'll share with all of you. The novel is Pollyanna. So with that, thank you, Richa, again. And you have a long list of topics I know up your sleeves. So we'll keep listening to you again and again.
Thank you, sir. Richa, we have some words of appreciation for you in the chat box, but no queries as such. Thank you again for sharing your valuable time with us and for the lovely session. I thank the participants as well for being with us today. We can close today's session with a moment of peaceful silence. Namaste.